ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Tuesday, April 13th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can be a part of the program by joining us on the White Claw phone lines at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer. It's made pure. Coming up today on the program, Marshall soccer coach Chris Grassie. We're going to talk to him. Big matchup coming up this weekend, taking on Charlotte. Marshall right now is number 9, Charlotte number 13. If that's not big enough, the winner of this one, this is sort of a de facto Conference USA championship game. The two of these teams meet. I mean, when they get together on Sunday, when they meet, it's going to be all the marbles on the line. You want to be the Conference USA champion, you got to win this one. So no pressure here. We're going to talk to Coach Grassie coming up here in the next few minutes. We'll get your phone calls in, as I mentioned. We've got a lot to get into today. A lot of it's going to be focused around what we're doing with soccer, as that's coming up. Busy weekend, as I've told you this week. Baseball is coming up tomorrow at WVU, and we're going to get into that a lot more tomorrow. But Friday's pretty busy because we've got softball taking on FAU, and that's coming up at 1 o'clock on Friday. Baseball, their series with FIU, 3 o'clock. And then Saturday, there are so many things happening. On Saturday, you have the fountain ceremony, the ceremony to turn the fountain on, and you also have some activities at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. Oh, by the way, there's a spring game coming up Saturday, 3 p.m. I've seen a lot of you on social media posting your tickets. You're excited. You haven't had a chance to really be a part of something like this in a while, so for those of you who have tickets and will be in attendance, I'm sure you're going to have a good time. Look forward to seeing you there. And Saturday is going to be pretty busy as well because baseball taking on FIU at 12 and 3 o'clock, and then softball taking on FAU at 1 and 3 o'clock. So if you're sort of torn, if you're one of those Herd fans that you have interest in all of these things, you're going to be pretty torn because you've got baseball if you're interested in that. You also have softball if you are a supporter of Coach Megan Smith Lyons' team, or if you are a supporter of the football team, you have 3 choices to make. Do I do football? Do I do softball? Do I do baseball? That's the difficulty of scheduling, though, sometimes. All of these things cross, and if the spring game wasn't happening, you'd still probably be torn. Like, okay, what do I want to do more if I want to go out and support one of these teams? Do I hit baseball? Do I hit softball? And, of course, eventually, if you can get an on-campus baseball park, which yet to be built, and the pandemic has not helped that whatsoever. So I drove past that yesterday and actually drove past it again today and just saw it looks like a wasteland just about. The weeds are growing up a little bit, and I was hoping to see some construction there. You were as well. And it's just the sign, Herd Baseball, it points out to the design of it. And you're kind of hoping, I hope to see that one day. And here we are, and we haven't even seen the groundbreaking yet for that. So, that's disappointing. But if you at least had that on campus, if you had all this stuff closer together, you could probably hit all of it. Yeah, you could do maybe baseball or softball and then head over to football. Or you could do football and not go to these, but you'd at least have a kind of an ear. You could go at halftime and support one. You had so many options here. And so that's kind of part of the reason why you're trying to get all this stuff on campus, so you have all this stuff on campus. And that's not the sole reason. But still, if you were trying to hit all 3, how would you do this? Would you hit baseball at noon, and then would you leave baseball, head over to softball, catch a little bit of that, and then head over to Jones C. Edwards Stadium to watch the spring game? How would that break out for you? I would think a lot of people are probably going to go check out softball at 1 and then make their way over to Jones C. Edwards Stadium to see the green-white game, the spring game, whatever we're going to call this. And so you've got a couple of options here. But I know you're all excited for that. That's coming up. Women's tennis taking on Syracuse. That's coming up on Sunday. And, of course, as I mentioned, big soccer matchup between Charlotte and Marshall. Number 9 versus number 13. The new coaches polls out. So all of that's coming up. We got some things to get into with you as well, as Marshall not only has a lot of action taking place this week, already a couple of things happening on the Olympic side of things. We're going to talk about that later. Marshall men's soccer. Nathan DeSantos named Conference USA Defensive Player of the Week for the second time this season. So that comes out today. He was previously honored on March 16th. So we'll talk about that with Coach a little bit later on the program. We've got the results. Marshall Golf. We'll talk about what they did in the Mountaineer Invitational. That wrapped up today for them at the Pete Dye Golf Course. And some good news today for Marshall volleyball redshirt senior outside hitter, Sierra DeBell. We'll talk about why good news came her way today. So all of that's coming up. As I mentioned, your phone call is coming up later on. But when we continue, we're going to talk soccer. Chris Grassie, head coach of the Marshall men's soccer team. He joins us when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We're taking Paul Swann everywhere. Download or subscribe to The Drive with Paul Swann on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Our phone lines this hour brought to you by White Claw at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Want to welcome on those White Claw phone lines the head coach of the Marshall soccer team, Chris Grassie. Big one coming up. I guess they're all big ones, but coming up this weekend, it'll be Marshall facing off against Charlotte. The new coaches poll comes out. Marshall ranked 9th. Charlotte coming in at number 13. And, Coach, this is pretty much the Conference USA Championship. It might not say it on the field, but it's the Conference USA Championship.
It certainly is. So the two best teams in the conference were both undefeated. So whoever wins will take the trophy. You've
had some really outstanding performances, but some hard-fought performances as well. Recently, UAB, that was one that would qualify for being hard-fought. What are your thoughts on the team's performance at this point?
I'm really happy. I think, as a coach, if you can get the win and then still have some things to work on, it's kind of heaven, because you can definitely get the points and the momentum from the win, but also have, legitimate things to talk about to improve. And we just follow the process and continue to improve on the things that, we need to. But I'm very happy with the guys. We've worked incredibly hard. Our defense has been incredible. We're probably creating more chances than we did last year. And we're defending a little bit better as a team. So, the sky's the limit. And, 1-0's become a little bit of our MO this season. But I said if we win 1-0 6 more times, we win a national championship and a Conference USA championship. So I'll take it.
If you would expand on that a little bit, defense has been really something that has shined for you. And you had a couple of key losses. You look at this defense and you think, okay, can they be as good as they were last time out? And you've exceeded everything. So, what is it about this defensive unit, these guys that are really going out there and making that sort of their hallmark, their signature?
Yeah, so, we lost Carlos, we lost Alal, we lost Paulo, who all went to the professional ranks. And then, we replaced them. Obviously, Nate DeSantos came in the spring. So he got to play with us in part of the spring before COVID. But then we've moved Colin back. Colin's been a terrific defender for us, usually playing in a fullback role, but he's gone more central. And we've got Jan, and then we added Gabrielle into that. So, and Ollie Semley, the goalkeeper, they've just been absolutely terrific. Now, I do want to say that in front of them, the guys are working very hard. Max Schneider's working very hard. Pedro, we're pressing from the front with our wingers. Jamil, Zhao, Milo have all been sort of putting the work in up front. But we just, we worked on it. We try to simplify things a little bit for them, with a lot of them being new, sort of the first time they've played together as a unit. And they learned really quickly. They adapted to it. They are all very quick guys. So we tend to play quite high, and we're pretty comfortable with a lot of space in behind us. And then Ollie plays, as the goalkeeper plays so far off his line, that he cuts the distances in between. And we just, we can win a lot of those races in behind them. We dictate where the space is going to be, and they've adapted really well to it. They all buzz off each other, and they get real enjoyment from defending well with each other. So it's been really good, but definitely aided by the pressure from the front guys as well. So it's been a good mixture.
You mentioned Nathan DeSantos. He was just named Conference USA Defensive Player of the Week, second time for him. He comes in with experience. He comes in from Duquesne, and he's brought a lot to the squad. But can you quantify that? What does that experience mean for you and your team, and what skills does he bring to the team?
Well, I think if anybody's sort of watched us play, we very much value possession of the ball. We want to build out. So Nate was actually a central midfielder for Duquesne. But it was somebody we actually recruited before he went to Duquesne. He was just a very tenacious, aggressive type of player. And so we knew he could make the transition to centre-back. And he played a little bit at centre-back for Duquesne over the years. And so we knew he could make the transition. And then Colin Marciunas was also a central midfielder in youth soccer before he joined Marshall. And actually his first couple of years, he was a sort of a redshirt central midfielder for us, and we kind of moved him to fullback, which he excelled in, and then we moved him to centre-back, and he's actually gone from strength to strength. And so I think their ability to handle the ball, and then Ollie is the goalkeeper, he's like an extra field player for us because he can step up into the middle, and then we can push Colin a little bit wider to the right, and he's right-footed, so everything's on the outside, which is safe. And then Nate is left-footed, he's on the left side. So again, that's all sort of safe. So it gives us sort of 3 at the back instead of 2, and sort of that ability to build on the ball, it helps us defensively because we're dictating a lot more where the ball is, and we don't lose it as much having sort of an extra guy at the back. Not that we lost it a lot in previous years, but we're sort of even more comfortable on the ball now than we were, which gives us a lot of confidence to kind of step up and be aggressive. And the guys have just done a great job. But those two, particularly, like bringing Nate in, I mean, he's definitely deserves Player of the Week. He's probably the defender of the conference. I would say it's a close contest, but only between him and Colin for the best defender in the conference right now. And then obviously our 2 fullbacks, Gabby and Yana, have done a terrific job as well, and they definitely deserve the mentions as well.
Marshall men's soccer coach Chris Grassie joins us on the program, and you look at how the conference season has gone for you. All your matchups have been decided by a goal or a tie, and I think that says more about the toughness of this league. How much better has this league gotten? It feels like you go out there, you've earned your ranking, you've earned those wins, and there's not an easy team really in this league to go out and beat.
Yeah, I definitely think the league has a lot of quality and will only get better. As Coastal Carolina come to the league, and then we're going to add one more, which will be quite exciting when that happens. The league will just get better and better. And I think a lot of it, honestly, has to do with sort of COVID, with the COVID year as well. I think it's, we're just finally now, even though we're right at the end of the season, we're just finally now starting to get into our groove. It's starting to feel, like a real season. And I think you'll start to see maybe a little bit more freedom. But I think with, the circumstances of playing and it being such a good league, I think it's been extra tight this year with, just with, even when you go away on a road trip, you're not eating together. You're not it's not relaxing. You're still reminded every day. And I think it's the pressure that it kind of puts on the guys, and the intensity of games, with that being really the only outlet, and without, much of the social side of part of being a team. I think that's had a toll as well. And that's why I think the games are a lot tighter also this year.
Is there a challenge? You beat UAB, and your guys can read. They can see the standings. They know you have a matchup with Charlotte that's going to be for all the marbles. It's the Conference USA Championship game. And in a sense, what do you anticipate going into this? Do you feel like there's going to be a little tension going into this, or are they going to have just the opportunity just to go out and play free? Walk me through that. What can we expect? What are you expecting from that matchup?
Well, the fact that it's 2 top 25 teams in the country, and it is going to be really quality soccer. I think it is going to be really tight. However, what I've said to the guys is we have to do us. We have to play martial soccer. We have to play the guys. And I've told them, every single one of them, and the way we play, every single one of them was recruited to beat Charlotte. We design our play. We play sort of our philosophy is the antithesis of their philosophy for football, for soccer, and we try and keep the ball. They try and like kick it in between. They'll try and make the game physical. We try and keep possession and play nice football. And I told them all they were single-handedly selected, and we are designed to beat Charlotte. And so that's the confidence they should be going into the game with. It's the clash of styles. It's the clash of soccer philosophies. They've been traditionally the best team in our conference. I think over the last 7 years, I'd definitely say they're in the top 10 in the country. And we knew, in my mind, if we could overhaul Charlotte and we could overhaul Kentucky secondarily, but Charlotte had been the main target to get past them and to beat them regularly, that's what this team was designed to do. So that's what we're going in with this Sunday with. That's the mentality. Every single player on our team is better than every single player on their team, and we're going to keep the ball. We're going to dictate the game. We're going to have some fun. We're going to express ourselves, and we're going to win the game.
Do you anticipate Charlotte being true to itself, or are you prepared for if they take what you're doing and try to vary it, try to match you in a different way? I mean, what can we expect from Charlotte? They're not a team that's easy to beat, so I'm pretty sure they've got some tricks up their sleeves as well.
They do, yeah, and I think it will. I feel very confident, but I feel like it will be a very difficult game. And we've scouted. I'd say almost every single team we've scouted this year have done something different when they faced us. There's probably only one team that hasn't done anything different than the scout. Teams come out and they're a little bit more defensive. They don't commit numbers forward as quickly. And so we've had to adapt to that. I think last year we kind of snuck up on a lot of people. People weren't expecting us to be as good as we were. And so we were able to take a lot of teams by surprise. There was a lot more space to attack into. And so I wonder, I'm very curious to see if Charlotte come out and play the same way they've done for the last 8 games of this season, or the last sort of 4 years that we've been playing against each other. They've had a very similar philosophy. So I'm interested to see whether they stick with that or whether they change to be a little bit more defensive and to cover a little bit more. I can't see them changing, just given how successful they've been and their identity. But I wouldn't be surprised if they sat a little bit deeper and try to make it a little bit more difficult for us and sort of give up possession in the front half of the field.
Chris Grassie joins us, Marshall's men's soccer coach. I guess it helps then you've got this one at home, and that's got to be exciting in itself. But really, you've got everything playing in your favor if it goes your way. You're going to have, I'm sure, an excited home crowd. You're going to have familiarity, your locker room, your pitch. They're sleeping in their beds. I mean, this is the perfect storm just about.
I hope so. We just need to figure out what's going to go wrong early, and then we can prepare for that. But I think we've just increased the crowd capacity, so we're up to the 50% state minimum or state mandated crowd. So that'll be exciting. So we'll be able to play in front of a bigger crowd than we've been for much of the season. I think the guys are like that. It's going to be senior day. We have some awards to give out, which will kind of create a nice atmosphere before the game. Everything's sort of lining up to be a real good feel-good day. Now we just have to work as hard as they work. We have to work a little bit harder, and then we have to perform on the day. We talk about 2 things are needed: intensity and quality. So if we can provide those 2 things, I think it will be our day.
Now I can look ahead. You probably not as much. The players definitely, but both teams in this matchup are probably going to the NCAA tournament no matter what happens. But what does this mean for you? If you win this again, you win this, you're the conference championship. What does this mean for you as a coach and for the program?
I mean, this establishes us. I mean, this makes sure we're not just a sort of flash in the pan. I think, going to the tournament 2 years in a row, winning a conference championship 2 years in a row is can you do it again? It's kind of the ultimate test. And then, from there now, can we act more like a big team? Can we defend year after year? And once you start getting a name, it becomes easier. You kind of get the nod. You get the nod from the selection committee. It means so much for taking us from sort of a flash in the pan one year team to a consistent consistently performing team that's always thought of as one of the best teams in the country. So if we can win on Sunday, we will solidify that, and then we'll be able to take the next step into sort of competing yearly with the Marylands, the Stanfords, the Wake Forests, the Virginias. That's the kind of the teams that we want to be competing against regularly, and that's the teams that we'll have to overhaul if we're going to win a national championship.
Chris Grassie joins us, Marshall's men's soccer coach. Big matchup. I think big is probably not underselling it between Marshall and Charlotte coming up on Sunday. This game, no matter what happens, probably will not be the end of what happens for Marshall soccer. But with the pandemic, you're at this point now. You win this conference championship. You go on to the NCAA tournament. How has that helped you in the recruiting process? Because you're in the same boat, same predicament as every other team and every other coach, but this seems like it's going to help you out a lot more. You're going to have a leg up, and to your point, establishing Marshall, what benefits have that already paid off for you, or what do you foresee?
It's interesting because COVID is kind of thrown a wrench in all sorts of recruiting plans. The one benefit is we get the seniors back, so obviously Jamil will go on to the MLS with Kansas City, and Pedro will return to play. So that's a huge recruit right there. We couldn't go out and find a guy like Pedro who just who we know would give us everything that he gives us on and off the pitch in terms of leadership and support to the guys. And so getting him, that's the biggest recruit right there, is being able to keep our senior. And then recruiting's been tough. I won't lie. It's very, very difficult. We're in a different sort of stratosphere in terms of players that we're looking for. And it's sometimes difficult to compete financially for those guys. But we think we've done a very good job with our budget and with our recruiting class this year coming in. And we've basically gone for guys that we've been able to see live. So we've gone for a couple of guys to come in because we only needed a small class. We've gone for a couple of guys that we've seen live, that we've been able to come from coaches that we know, that we've been able to see the program. So maybe we didn't see them in the last year, but we've seen them, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, we've been able to have notes on them. And so we kind of trusted the guys that we've seen live, because there's a lot to do on video right now. There's a lot that you're looking at. So I'm happy with our recruiting class. It's shaped up very, very nicely. And then obviously the biggest recruit in the world is getting to keep our captain, Pedro, for one more season.
What's it say about your program that the transfer portal is big in basketball right now, and the ability to leave if you don't like the situation or you want to take a different opportunity? What's it say for your program that this core group of players, they want to stay, they want to get it done, they're not enjoying just short-term success, they want to see it through?
Yeah, we definitely feel like it feels like a family. It feels like a very sort of cohesive unit, and we enjoy being around each other. I think that's something that every member of this team now gets to be a part of it. And really, we deal with the transfer portal as well, but generally for us, it's guys who aren't going to play, who can't break into that starting group, who feel like they're going to have a better chance elsewhere, is kind of the guys that we lose, which is fine, because that keeps our standards very high. But of our core guys, we haven't lost anybody yet, and it's been terrific. It's been everybody who we want to keep and who stays, who's been playing for us, has come back to stay. And I think they all have to a man bought into the sort of legacy of Marshall soccer, what they want to achieve as a group. That national we talk about the national championship, and it's not something that it's not like it's something that's a distraction. There's such a quality of players that they need to be laser focused, and they need to have that ultimate challenge of continuing to the next thing and the next thing. And obviously, the conference championship and Sunday is where their minds are. But I'd say over the time period, this group together has a goal. They can't see themselves leaving to go elsewhere to achieve that goal. They want to achieve it with their brothers. They want to achieve it on the pitch with Marshall in the green and white stripes, and that's what motivates them. And that's kind of what that again like spins the flywheel and helps us sort of continue that, to feed into that energy. And it's just been it's a terrific environment to come to work to every day.
Marshall men's soccer coach Chris Grassie joins us on the program. Coach, thanks again. I appreciate your time. It's going to be fun on Sunday. It's going to be a huge match, and I hope every Herd fan that you can possibly fit into The stadium will be there to see this, and of course, it'll be live streamed as well for those who can't. But let's talk about a conference championship next week with you.
That'd be fantastic, Paul. Thank you.
Chris Grassie, appreciate him being on the program. The Thundering Herd, Charlotte, it's Conference USA Championship. It's the de facto championship game. The only thing you're not going to have is the lettering on the pitch. You're not going to have logos, anything indicating it's a championship game. None of those trappings. It's just going to be the two best teams in Conference USA going at it. The winner going to be your Conference USA champion. We will continue with your phone calls at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. We got more coming up. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Our phone line's brought to you by White Claw at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer is made pure. Marshall Volleyball redshirt senior outside hitter Sierra DeBell named to the American Volleyball Coaches Association All-South Region team again. That means she's one of the best out there. So congratulations to Sierra DeBell, also one of my favorite follows on Twitter. She is definitely one of the more fun athletes. If you are following Marshall student athletes on Twitter, she's probably one of the best. Also, as we mentioned earlier, Marshall men's soccer junior defender Nathan DeSantos named Conference USA Defensive Player of the Week. Second time this season for him. He also won it on March 16th. And some unfortunate news. Well, I don't know if it's unfortunate, but Marshall, the golf team, coming in 10th place in the Mountaineer Invitational today at the Pete Dye Golf Course. If you look at the numbers, Matt Hoffman, he's tied for 34th. Will Straub tied for 36th, along with Cameron Root. And at 55, tied Christian Boyd. And Noah Mullins also in the tied position at 55, and then Tyler Jones tied at 59th. I think Hoffman, probably your biggest improver. He dropped his score by 2 to finish with a 1/73 on the day. He climbed up 13 more spots on the leaderboard to be the top finisher for the herd. And again, you tied 34th. That's pretty good. And then you got redshirt senior Will Straub. He jumped up 8 spots after improving his score by 4 strokes in the third round. And then Noah Mullins improved by 1 stroke. Sophomore Tyler Jones dropped his score by 5 shots. So if you look at what the herd did, a total of 14 birdies in the final round, 32 over the whole event. West Virginia, well, it's their home tournament, and befitting for them, they captured it. They had an amazing team score, 7 under, 281. And that put them ahead of Southern Miss by 12 strokes. So West Virginia winning their own tournament. Marshall coming in 10th. But I think there's some room for improvement there and some positives here I think you can take away for it. Matt Hoffman definitely is one to watch out for. And he got better. And if you look at the numbers across the board, Hoffman, 83, 75, 73. Straub, 78, 79, 75. Root was 80, 75, 77. Boyd was 87, 73, 76. Noah Mullins, 81, 78, 77. And then Tyler Jones, 74, 84, 79. So there's some room to improve there, but the top guys definitely, Matt Hoffman getting better, Will Straub as well. So not a total loss here in the win-loss column. 10th place, Thundering Herd, unfortunately, can't get out of the 10 spot. We'd like to see them maybe we get top 5 finish. It would have been nice. Back in action. Wright State Invitational, 18th and 19th to finish the regular season. And then got to go to Texarkana, Arkansas, April 26th, 29th for the Conference USA Championship. And that's where it really matters for Marshall. Not that these tournaments don't matter, but that's where you put everything on the line there in the Conference USA tournament, trying to win a championship. And those are things you like. You like winning the conference championships. But Marshall Goff 10th and the Mountaineer Invitational. We will get your phone calls in, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. More coming up. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
It's our final segment. If you missed any part of the earlier part of the show, if you missed any part of the earlier part, go back and get it. Podcast is available for you, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, wherever you get your podcasts, so you can get that part of the part you missed. It made sense before I said it. I truly, I'm sorry. It did make sense. Welcome back, Paul Swann, your host. Thanks for joining me today. There was an interesting story. I posted it on Twitter. I'm kind of curious to get your reaction to it. This is going to be interesting. I think you might not like the implications, or you might applaud this, and that's kind of why I want to get your feedback. But Buffalo Bills and Sabres fans will now have to show proof that they've been vaccinated against COVID-19 if they want to attend games. And this is according to Erie County Executive, and I'm going to mispronounce his name, and I do apologize, Mark Poloncarz. This was announced today. This is what Mr. Poloncarz said. He said, "Our goal is to have 100% full house for the Bills and the Sabres starting in the fall." And he said this during a daily briefing today. And Chris, that's good. You want to bring fans back. You want to get them back, right? If you are vaccinated, you are going to be able to get to go back and watch either the Sabres or the Bills, right? That's sort of the goal here, to get back to some sort of normal. And he said that our plan is that unless you are vaccinated, you will not have entry to the stadium. It is easy. It is safe, he said. Now, if you are a ticket holder, you enter Highmark Stadium for NFL games or KeyBank Center for NHL games. You're going to be asked to show digital proof that you are fully vaccinated using New York State Excelsior Pass cell phone app. And Erie County owns both venues, so Erie County, of course, is going to have a little bit more say to what's going on here. I'm not familiar with the Excelsior Pass cell phone app. It sounds like a digital record, though, that I can pull up and say, look, here it is. I've got my vaccination record. So you're going to have to show that. And that's going to open up an entire different discussion here. Of course, I don't anticipate something like that happening here in West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio. I don't anticipate that. For one, I don't think we're going to be able to show proof digitally. Yeah, I've got my card. You've got your card, right? If you're vaccinated, you're told to hang on to it. So you've got your card. If you don't have your card, you can either go get a reprint of it, get a new one, or if you're not vaccinated, you don't have a card. So there's already going to be some lines here. And, of course, vaccination is an individual's choice. And let me get that out of the way right now before we continue on here. This is not me telling you that you're right or wrong. This is me telling you that there's going to be division here. And if you are vaccinated, you're good to go if you're going to Sabres games or if you're going to Buffalo Bills games, the way this is set up. If you are not vaccinated, you're not good to go. And if you're waiting to get vaccinated, you're probably like, hurry up, I want to go see the Sabres, or hurry up, I want to go see the Bills. Or if you're not into being vaccinated, again, this is all everyone's personal choice. That's the line I will walk you to. Here it is, your choice. But sports venues and municipalities and leagues might start making decisions based on what those entities feel are best. This is what was added to this briefing today. And this is, again, the Erie County Executive, Mark Poloncarz. He said that there will be no religious or other exemptions, but, quote, there's no God-given right to attend a football game. This is what Poloncarz said. No given right, no God-given right to attend a football game. So he's basically saying, look, you don't have a right to be here. We want you to be here. We want you to come in, but if you come in, these are the rules. So is he right? Is he on base as far as saying, look, we make the rules. This is how we're playing. If you want to see Sabres games, you want to see Bills games, the only way you're getting in this season is if you're vaccinated. Yeah, and we're not denying you, we're not restricting you based on anything else other than what they're pretty much framing as a health issue. Look, we want you to come in. I mean, is it any different than, okay, you got to wear a mask to come in? Now the requirement is you've got to be vaccinated and show proof. And Buffalo already has done this. Buffalo, the Sabres, announced last month, fans, you can come. Fans are welcome. You can come attend games in April, but you got to provide proof of vaccination or a recent negative COVID-19 test. And this doesn't impact what's going on with the Sabres the rest of the season. This is going to be moving forward, the next season, when we get to football season, and then when we get to the next round of hockey, the next season. Because right now, you're not going to change midstream. But do you see this here in the short term as a policy that more, and it's probably going to vary by state and geography and league, is this going to be a policy you're going to see more? Could you imagine, we'll use Marshall as the example just for our purposes, but can you imagine that, okay, you can attend Marshall games here in the near future, but you have to show proof of vaccination? Yeah, there will be a lot of people that say, great, I'm good, I'm okay with that, I like that rule. And then you're going to have another group that's going to say, look, no, why are you restricting me? And the argument is going to be, of course, depending on the individual, the entity that is making the rules, what their goal is. And Erie, Buffalo fans are going to have to show that they've been vaccinated. Now, can leagues do this and expect most of the fans to be on board with this? Now, you're going to always alienate someone. Always will alienate someone. If sports leagues said, look, no, we're just going to open this thing up. Come on in. Vaccinated or not, come on in. You're going to have some that say, well, wait a minute here. That's not going to be healthy. And you're going to have others that will say, look, as it should be. If you're afraid, stay home. Wear your mask. Stay home. You're not going to restrict my life. And of course, then you reverse this and you have people who will be on board with the 100%, hey, if you're vaccinated, great, we all can hang out together. I want to follow this story only because I want to see how far this proliferates. I want to see if other teams, other municipalities, other leagues pick this up and go with it and say, okay, we're going to let fans in, but this is how you get in. And will there be challenges? Because again, Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz. He said in his update, there is no God-given right to attend a football game. So he's saying, look, we're only letting people in who aren't sick. Okay. Letting people in who have the vaccine. Yeah. Are you also going to, and here's probably where a lot of people will be concerned. Are you going to push that forward? Okay, you got to have a flu shot too. You can come, but you got to have your COVID shot and you got to have a flu shot. Is that where this is going for a lot of people? And I'm sure it's probably been discussed. Like, okay, where do we go after this? Do we require people to show proof of vaccination? Do we show proof of, okay, I got my shot. That means I can get my ticket. And is that going to be connected to my digital ticket now? How does that work? Again, some states are going to be looking at this. Others are going to be like, no, we're not doing that here. With this app, it makes it easy, apparently, to be able to show at least some verification. Like, hey, here we go. Yeah, here's my proof. I can be entered. And I know that's going to be something that we're going to see. Yeah, maybe this is just going to be this is going to be Buffalo only. This will be a Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres issue only. And if that's the case, then, the other leagues will allow fans in as they feel comfortable, and with municipalities. And I'm sure we're going to have another round of social distancing for at least the upcoming seasons. There might be more people allowed in to football, basketball venues, but there'll still probably be social distancing involved, masks, everything that goes with it. I don't think this is going to be just a hard, fast reset after a certain amount of the population is vaccinated. Here we are. Okay, we're good. Let's go. I don't see that happening here. I think this is going to be a gradual transition back to what we think is a version of normal, or normal might have been altered. I don't know. But I want your comments. I want your feedback. That's why I post that on Twitter. Hit me at Paul Swann. Give me your thoughts. Tell me why you're on board with this, what you have against this. And we'll talk about it tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Have a great night, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.